This is Midday Live, and I am Wendy Laya. Headlines for this afternoon. Ghana hosts 5th ECOWAS Presidential Task Force meeting on single currency. Pressure mounts for the scrapping of Ghana Law School's Independent Examination Board following mass failure in the 2017 bar exams. Millennium Development Authority, MIDA, says it will work in the country's interest after letters from consortium bidding for ECG concession arrangement protest the 51% mandatory Ghanaian ownership. And on international fronts, Nigeria's Yobe State government confirms dozens of Nigerian schoolgirls are still unaccounted for after an attack in the town of Dapchi. We have details of these stories and many more lined up. Do stay with us. Let's start with our very first story now. And Millennium Development Authority, MIDA, says it has received letters from the consortium bidding for the ECG concession arrangement, protesting the 51% mandatory Ghanaian ownership. French electricity conglomerates EDF and transnational Veolia, together with their partner CH Group, says the limitation will affect their finances and restrict any enforcement of the rights of lenders. In the release, MIDA, however, said it will work in the interest of the country. MIDA noted it will ensure that the transaction is managed for the benefit of the people of Ghana. The release indicated Ghana signed the Power Compact with the United States of America, acting through the Millennium Challenge Corporation, MCC, on the sidelines of the U.S.-Africa Leaders Summit in Washington, D.C. on August 5, 2014. Now, the Ghana Power Compact will provide Ghana with a grant $498,200,000 United States dollars to improve the performance of Ghana's power sector, unlock the country's economic potential, create jobs, and reduce poverty. And the Millennium Development Authority, MIDA, says it has received letters from the consortium bidding for the ECG concession arrangement, protesting the 51% mandatory Ghanaian ownership. To other stories now, and the National Road Safety Commission says it wants power to demand compliance from stakeholders mandated to ensure safety on the road. 65 persons have lost their lives through road crashes in January this year, with 253 pedestrians knocked down.
According to provisional data from the 2017 traffic situation, 2,076 persons died, while 12,166 others sustained injuries in 12,843 reported road accidents. The total number of vehicles involved in the crashes were 1,774, comprising 723 commercial vehicles, 715 private vehicles, and 336 motorcycles. The National Road Safety Commission, NRSC, says it is particularly worried about the unsafe situation on the George Walker Bush Highway, Pokrasia Masaman, and on the Tetekwashi Madina Adenta roads.
Enforcement cannot be delivered only by a physical traffic police officer deployed, but also safer vehicles being handled by safer road users and responsible vehicle occupants and pedestrians. And of course, the other agencies, that the road agencies, to ensure that we have safer roads.
The National Road Safety Commission challenged the Ghana Highway Authority, Department of Urban Roads, and the Department of Feeder Roads to demonstrate utmost responsibility for safety by ensuring that roads are properly lit and devoid of dangerous potholes and physical objects. Though the Commission conducts safety audits on the roads and makes recommendations, they are hardly addressed, prompting the NRSC to seek powers to ensure compliance from road agencies.
If the lead agency, which is National Road Safety Commission, is supposed to bring that to pass and is not resourced, is not empowered, then what are we doing? We are failing. We are pushing so hard for the regularization of the agency bill of National Road Safety Commission, which eventually might lead to an authority status. With the agency bill, what happens is that they will now have the power to hold their stakeholders to the call.
One of the critical things that is in that document or in the bill is that we will have the power to demand compliance from our stakeholders, whatever procedures or standards they have set themselves. If they are not going by it, we will take an action against them.
Away from that story, traders at the Mallam markets are preparing to meet on the way forward in their fight for compensation from government. Now, the ultimatum given by the traders to government to pay them, that's 18,500 Ghana cedis, being valued for 185 bags of salt allegedly destroyed last Thursday, has elapsed. My colleague Catherine Frimpoma has been following this story, and she joins us via phone to give us some updates. Hello, Catherine. Hello, Catherine.
Hello.
Now, knowing that the deadline has elapsed, have these traders met, and what is their next line of action?
Well, the deadline elapsed today, but visiting the market, they are yet to decide on their next line of action. According to them, they will still have a demonstration, but I'm sure it's not going to be today because there is no sign of any demonstration. The chairman of the Mallam Market Traders Association, they are in talks with the police trying to secure a convenient date that would get them, have the police to protect them while they demonstrate. And so they are still trying to schedule a convenient date for that demonstration. But they insist that they are not going to move away from that land because the land they acquired through legal means, the documents to back it. I also spoke with the Patai family at Bawi, who also are saying that they are the owners of the land and they sold the land to the Mallam Market Traders Association. And as far as they are concerned, the government has not approached them or had any communication with them to grant them the permission to use the land for any official or any developmental project. And so as far as they are concerned, the land stands in the name of the Mallam Market Traders Association. And so they are calling on the Ministry of the Ministry of Sanitation and Water Resources to recall the military men from the site because they are going to fight them to gain access to the land.
All right, well, thank you so much for that update, Catherine Frimpoma. She'll bring us some more in our subsequent bulletins. You're still watching Midday Live, and only 91 prospective lawyers out of a total of 474 student lawyers will be called to the bar in Ghana this year. 206 student lawyers are to repeat the entire course following massive failure in their final bar examination. There is more in the following Newsdesk report.
Final year students of the Ghana School of Law are still in shock after staggering 81% of them failed their final year exams. Out of a total of 474 students who sat for the exam, 91 passed, representing 19%, who are to be called to the Ghana Bar this year. This means 206 students will have to repeat the entire course. Another 177 have been referred in one or two papers. The law school's mass failure has been recorded at a time Parliament is seeking to regularize the entrance exams and interview processes instituted as part of the admission procedures into the Ghana School of Law. The General Legal Council, which oversees legal education and profession in Ghana, has mounted a strong-willed defense for the maintenance of the entrance exams. Council insists the exams and interviews are to ensure higher standards in legal education in the country.
And spokesperson of the Concerned Law Students Association of Ghana, Ken Donko, says the mass failures shows the need to scrap the examination and interview by the General Legal Counsel before admitting students for the professional law course.
All along, the argument put forward by General Legal Counsel are that, one, they don't have capacity, and two, they do not want to compromise quality, and also they wouldn't want to compromise standard. It is the reason why they introduce the entrance exam and the interview. And so if you are saying that at the entry point we are introducing entrance exam and interview in order to screen the already qualified students who by law, LI 1296, qualified to be admitted without having to go through any entrance exam, but for the ineptitude of Ghana School of Law and General Legal Counsel.
Meanwhile, a former director of the Ghana Law School, Dr. Ansah Sare, has blamed the attitude of the current crop of law students for the exam failure. Speaking also on News 360 on Tuesday, Dr. Ansah Sare argued the law students to read and sacrifice their time for their studies.
This is not the first time. In 1958, we had the law school enrolled 123 students, as the Pioneer Foundation students. They wrote their final exams in June 1963, and only 9 passed. So this is not the first time. It has been happening from time to time. What has been happening over the years, in the past couple of years, is that the General Legal Counsel differently constituted, sometimes, quote and unquote, massages results, in order to be able to meet the manpower requirements of the nation. What I mean by massaging the results is that sometimes they do lower, the pass mark, from say 50 to 40.
I see.
But the current Chief Justice is not somebody who is going to do that, I'm afraid. And therefore, the very day she was sworn in, I told Mancrest students that they are in for hard time because the incoming Chief Justice or the newly appointed Chief Justice is a person who does not compromise, on standards whatsoever. So I believe that what has happened is a true reflection. And before we jump, to hasty conclusions, I would urge, the stakeholders and other interested parties to research the reasons so we can identify some of the causes or reasons, leading to this general underperformance in this year's law exam. But I'm not surprised at all. We go to law schools to read law. And therefore, law students and potential law students must understand that in reading law, there's a lot that one has to do, sacrifices, reading constantly. One has to, get caught reading. One's, statutory materials, one's textbooks, one's cases, one's articles. Now, the present generation of law students do not read at all.
You're still watching Midday Live. Government is collaborating with the Consulate General in Dubai to help repatriate 500 Ghanaians who were stranded in Dubai. Minister of Information Mustafa Hamid, who made this known at a press conference in Accra, said the stranded job seekers were left to their fate by the recruitment agencies after they were unable to secure them jobs. The Minister of Information, Mustafa Hamid, said government had gathered some recruitment agencies charged between 8,000 cedis and 15,000 cedis to procure travel documents and travel visas for young people to travel to Dubai. He added they then solicit the assistance of travel and tour operators who act as sponsors of the visa applications for a fee, but secure 3 months tourist visas.
The Gulf states are going to be making demands. We are also going to be making demands and ensuring guarantees. It's a process. Very soon, I mean, they are working expeditiously to ensure that within the shortest possible time, we conclude negotiations that are acceptable to us and that are also acceptable to the Gulf states. The solution is what we have in the pipeline, concluding the negotiations quickly, arresting and prosecuting those who, in the meantime, are perpetuating this illegality.
Mustafa Hamid said security agencies are tracking down recruitment agencies and travel and tour companies involved and sending young people to the Gulf region, especially Dubai. Government has banned the recruitment of young Ghanaians to the Gulf region, especially Dubai, as recruitment agencies are not able to secure them the promised jobs when they get there. Meanwhile, the Ministry for Employment and Labour Relations, in collaboration with the Ministry of Interior and the Ministry of Gender and Social Protection, are working to ensure that bilateral agreements are reached between Ghana and the Gulf states before the ban is lifted. And Ghana is hosting the 5th ECOWAS Presidential Task Force meeting on the single currency program. President Akufo-Addo has been speaking at that meeting.
The task force also requested that the roadmap for the ECOWAS single currency be reviewed to ensure that the processes for the creation of the single currency are accelerated. I'm informed that under the auspices of the Ministerial Committee, this assignment has been successfully carried out. I urge Your Excellencies to examine the conclusions and recommendations of the Ministerial Meeting and emphasize the need to put in place measures to implement the revised roadmap to achieve the objective of starting the single currency program in 2020. It is for this reason that I entreat Your Excellencies of the Task Force and the ECOWAS Authority of Heads of State and Government to give presidential assent to the implementation of the revised roadmap that will be adopted at our meeting. We need to ensure that the ECOWAS Commission is provided with the needed resources through the setup of the special fund for financing the activities of the revised roadmap. I call also on governments of our member states to take all measures to ensure that the macroeconomic convergence criteria, a prerequisite for the introduction of the single currency, is consistently met. This will invariably require marrying the convergence targets with our national macroeconomic targets. It is my hope that as we shape the future of ECOWAS, we're positioning West African enterprises to compete effectively in the global space. There are many amongst us who cannot accept that it is only Asians who can engineer their transition from poverty to prosperity in a generation. We should be determined to emulate that in our generation in West Africa and ensure that succeeding generations will be neither victims nor pawns of the world order. We have a historic opportunity to create a new reality for the peoples of ECOWAS, a reality of general prosperity and progress. Let us seize this opportunity. I thank you all for your attention, and may God bless us all and the peoples of ECOWAS, and may God bless Mother Africa and make her great and strong.
You're still watching Media Live. We have more shortly. Do stay. Thanks for staying. Let's do business now. And early on, you did hear President Akufo-Addo speak at the very venue where there's going to be discussions on the single currency for West Africa and for the ECO to be implemented. Now, the 10 convergence criteria set out by the West African Monetary institutes which must be met. Now let's look at 4 of the primary criteria to be achieved by each member country. First of all, a single-digit inflation rate at the end of each year, a fiscal deficit of no more than 4% of the GDP, a central bank deficit financing of more than 10% of the previous year's tax revenues, and gross external reserves that can give import cover for a minimum of 3 months. So there you have it, some of them in there. Let's look at the rest we have for you here. And 6 secondary criteria to be achieved by each member of a country, and the prohibition of new domestic default payments and liquidation of existing ones. 2, tax revenue should be equal to or greater than 20% of the GDP. 3, wage bill to tax revenue equal or less than 35%. 4, public investment to tax revenue equal to or greater than 20%. And 5, a stable real exchange rate. And 6, a positive real interest rate. My colleague Etonam Say is at the venue and she'll be joining us shortly to give us some more updates on that. So as and when we get her via phone, we'll speak to her to give us some more update on this very topic. Now, let's move on to other topics which have been trending, which has to do with concerns within the Ghana Law School and matters arising. And joining me this afternoon is Frederick Abu Bonsra. He is the course rep Kumasi campus and a member of the SRC Judicial Council. Good afternoon, and thanks for your time. Now, you have declared today a red day.
Exactly.
What exactly are you hoping to achieve?
We are hoping to create the awareness, because the students of the Ghana School of Law have been going through this mental abuse for a long time now. It's been going on for years, and we've beat the dust as it stands now. Now we can't take it anymore. So we have to go on this alert.
And how long will this go on?
Until we get the remedies we are seeking. Until we get the remedies we are seeking. There's a roadmap of activities we are following. Today is the Red Wednesday, and at 1 p.m. there's going to be a press release at the Ghana School of Law Makola main campus.
Now, you also want a remarking of those who failed their papers. How far have you gone with that?
Like I said, today is the start of the roadmap. We are starting with the press release. We are starting with the Red Wednesday. We are going to petition the IEB, which is the Independent Exam Board that conducted the results. We are also going to speak to the Office of the Chief Justice.
No, I'm asking because you've listed a number of activities you want to engage in. Exactly. Do you have a time frame? You've started today. How long will this run for?
Like I said, it's going to go on until we get the remedies.
No timeline.
We have no timeline till we get the remedies we are seeking. If it has to culminate in instituting legal action to get the remedies we are seeking, we are ready to do that.
And there are some questions of the independent body which marked your papers. What exactly do you want from them, and what different thing do you want to see, especially when it comes to the independent body?
We are being trained to become lawyers, to represent clients who have been wronged. Now we, the law students, have been wronged. We can't keep quiet. That's the first thing. What we are looking for now is that they've conducted results. They've told us over 400 people have trailed or repeated. As it stands now, we haven't seen our scripts. We don't even know the marks we got that made us trail. We don't know the courses we have trailed in. I hope you get me. The remarking we are seeking, they've instituted this policy that for each script you want to remark, you have to pay a deposit of 3,000 cedis. Our entire fees for the year was 12,000. Now, if failing one paper and I want remarked, I'm paying 3,000. We think that's absurd for just one paper. So if you trail 2, you are paying 6,000, which is half your yearly fees that you paid. Again,
so you want that
we want that amount cut off.
To what?
We are at most we are willing to pay 500 cedis per script for remarking. Another policy they have is that out of the 10 first and semester courses we write, if you trail 3 or more, you repeat the entire year. That means that for 7 courses, you can get 90. In fact, you can actually top the entire law school. And if you have 49 in 3 of them, you have to rewrite the other 7 that you've passed, We think that's also outrageous, especially looking at the timelines within which they are bringing the results. We are in February. February is almost gone. March is just there. First semester exams is in April, May, which is 2 months away. Now you've given somebody 7-8 months in the law school. You've told the person has repeated. Now you are giving the person 2 months to rewrite that same 6-course first semester. We think that if we have failed for 8 months, if genuinely we have failed when we studied for 8 months, then these 2 months, we are still going to fail. Because one, people are still in emotional shock. Nobody has started studying yet. As at now, you don't even know the course you have trailed in to start studying. So we are still on it. I hope you get it.
And as part of your lined up activities, now these are concerns that you have.
Exactly.
And yes, you've mentioned that you're going to continue till you have some positive results for the things you're calling for. Now, with this emotional bit and the days you have to write your exams and all, are you making any headway, especially with discussions, even though you've mentioned that you're going to push till you have a change? Any headway with discussions with authorities of the school? Now, you represent the SRC.
Exactly.
Are you making any headway with that?
We are, but like I said, we just started. We have support. We have the actual support. We have lawyers who feel we've been genuinely wronged. Because if you study law for just 1 year, you know this is so unfair. This is so unfair. So we have made progress in a way. We have lawyers who support us, some of the lecturers. Actually, the school authorities agree with us, but they are employees of the General Legal Council and the Independent Exam Board, so they can't come out. I hope you get me. They do support us. They do acknowledge that what we are going through is bad.
Now, we spoke to Dr. Ansar Sari yesterday on News 360, and some of the concerns he raised was that this is not the very first time such a case has happened. And for some of the students, they are just not concentrating on their studies.
Actually, when I heard those comments, I was a bit sad. Because the fact that this isn't the first time something is happening doesn't mean it should happen. Doesn't mean it should continue happening. And again, when you talk of students not being serious enough, I've never seen more serious students than students of the Ghana School of Law. Because one, the lecturer in front of you is not the one going to mark. So the content of the syllabus the lecturer has covered, the exams can even go beyond that. One, you don't even finish that. Because for second semester...
But that could also be a factor. As the concerns he raised, are they not genuine?
Social media being a reason why we are failing, or that we are not concentrating
Students
enough.
Not concentrating, not reading. Couldn't that be a factor?
No, that can never be a factor.
That cannot be a representation
that
of all,
never be a factor.
But that could be a factor.
That can never be a factor.
But you don't know what your other colleagues do. You might be serious studying.
I know what my other colleagues do. If somebody is leaving faculty at 2 a.m., if somebody comes to class at 4 a.m. because the person stays at Pokwase and doesn't want to go through traffic before getting to Makola, and the person closes class at 7 p.m. and doesn't still want to go traffic, so stays back in the library to study till 9 p.m. before leaving, you can't tell me that student is not serious. And this is what we've been doing all this while. First and foremost, they've brought the professional course, the academic calendar, to such a way that it makes it even impossible, no matter how serious you are, to study. Because like I said, second semester is from June to September. That's roughly 3-4 months. And the courses you have to study within that small frame of time, especially having regard to the fact that the IEB does not care whether your lecturer has completed the syllabus. You get it? So going into the exams, there are some courses you haven't even covered. Then they bring you wrong questions, you suffer, you write, and then they bring these shoddy results.
Well, thank you so much for your time, Frederick Abu-Bonsah. He is a course rep in Kumasi campus and also a member of the SRC Judicial Council. We're looking at concerns of some law students. You're still watching Midday Live, and the General Agriculture Workers Union, GAWU, has blamed the government for hastily implementing the Planting for Food and Jobs program, resulting in many challenges bedeviling the projects. Now, Deputy General Secretary of GAWU, Andrew Stego, has also cast doubts on government's claim of creating 745,000 jobs under the project.
Deputy General Secretary of the General Agricultural Workers Union, Andrew Tego, is of the view the program was rushed.
You know, it's a policy that is generally taking care of agriculture. And for us, anything that focuses on agriculture is a priority and is a good one. And then looking at how it was started last year, You know, it looks a bit of a haste. We did not finish documentation, we did not finish the strategy, but it took off.
Government in January this year said its Planting for Food and Jobs program has in its first year alone created some 745,000 jobs. The Agriculture Minister, Dr. Owusu Efiri-Akoto, disclosed this, said the jobs were created in areas of input supply and distribution of surplus food resulting from the program. But Deputy General Secretary of GAU wants more clarification.
We are okay if government is providing jobs, but in this particular sector, we want to see the type of jobs that have been provided, how the jobs have been provided, where the jobs are, and whether it meets criteria for what we call a job. Need a lot of clarification in terms of what the job is. We are okay if government really have succeeded in providing jobs for the over 700,000 people.
Andrew Stego is unhappy graduates from the agricultural colleges engaged on the youth employment module are paid less than national service personnel and called for the lifting of the ban on employment in the agri sector.
If we have this guy sitting at home, having been produced by our agricultural colleges, then we must find a way of lifting whatever ban, recruiting them to add up to the Planting for Food and Jobs program to make the program very successful as we are all expecting.
Now to healthcare. Government is to construct a new pediatric intensive care unit at Korle Bu Teaching Hospital in Accra to provide adequate pediatric care for infants and to reduce neonatal mortality. First Lady Rebecca Akufo-Addo gave a hint at the launch of the 2018 Rotary Family Health Day here in Accra.
The First Lady Rebecca Akufo-Addo expressed her determination to promote maternal and child health care in the country. She recounted her role in facilitating the rehabilitation of the pediatric unit at the Korle Bu Teaching Hospital. This, she said, was to help achieve Sustainable Development Goal 3, which promotes healthcare delivery. The First Lady requested private entities to support government in healthcare delivery.
We also plan to build a pediatric intensive care unit for the children's block of the Korle Bu Teaching Hospital. Government alone cannot provide all the health needs of Ghanaians. We need everyone. That is why it gladdens my heart that, as Rotarians, your 6 major areas of focus include maternal and child health.
As part of this year's Family Health Days, 50,000 beneficiaries from 50 deprived communities would undergo free medical screening from February 22 to 24.
I encourage greater and better collaboration between Rotary and the Ministry of Health. I also encourage you to consider working with other ministries in subsequent years, for example, gender, children, and social protection, education, and sanitation and water resources.
A director at the Ministry of Health, Dr. Anas Irinchi, was elated to partner Rotary on the program. 120,000 people have benefited from the program since its inception 3 years ago.
You're still watching Media Live. Do stay with us. We have more shortly. You're still watching Media Live. Let's do business now. And the Food and Beverages Association of Ghana has called on government to urgently suspend the implementation of its excise stamp tax policy and to re-engage stakeholders at the policy table. Now, the association believes this re-engagement at the policy table will afford both government and stakeholders the opportunity to adopt the best practicable, workable technology for implementing the excise stamp tax.
The rollout of the tax stamp policy on March 1st is in danger, as the Food and Beverages Association of Ghana says it is not ready to comply with the policy. Members claim each stage of the tax stamp implementation process comes with huge costs to their business. The association is proposing a digital system that will electronically emboss the stamps on all exercisable products, while the government has opted for the physical affixing of the stamps by specialized machines in the course of production. This development raises questions as to Ghana's ability to start the enforcement exercise for the tax stamp policy.
Now, our engagement with government to reconsider their position
if it comes to the tax stamp, has all yielded no results, but rather they want to go the tandem in which they are going. So we ask ourselves, are we ready to really affix the tax stamps? The company that was contracted to affix the stamps has not been able to provide the machinery for industry, even for the importers to comply with.
The association believes enforcement of the policy would slow down production timelines of manufacturers by some 10% and raise the cost of operation as high as $3 million per company.
We talk about delays, and this is what the importing community do not want because of demurrages and all that. If we have about 50 containers in a day that is being cleared, how are we going to process all these 50 containers within a day? Is it going to be a week, 2 weeks, or what? And who is going to bear the additional cost?
Per the Excise Stamp Act of 2013, anybody who releases non-stamp products for sale or resells them commits an offense and is liable to summary conviction, to a fine of not more than 300% of the duties, or to a term of imprisonment of not more than 5 years or both.
Let's get some more business stories. And AngloGold Ashanti has resumed full operations at the Obuasi mines. At a news conference in Accra, General Manager of AngloGold Ashanti Obuasi Mine, Eric Isubonteng, announced that the company has finally reached an agreement with government over the Obuasi investment framework. Nong Falong has this report.
Due to falling gold prices in 2013, AngloGold Obuasi experienced operational losses, which led to retrenchment of its workers and a suspension of its underground operations. With a new agreement, they are positioned to resume their place on the market. General Manager of the Obuasi Mines, Eric Isubonteng, gave the detail of the agreements reached and is certain it will provide a framework for the redevelopment of the Obuasi mine.
The regulatory and fiscal agreements with the government of Ghana that will provide the framework for the redevelopment of the Obuasi gold mine into a modern, productive mining operation. The government of Ghana and AngloGold Ashanti have put in place several agreements, including a development agreement, tax concession agreement, security agreement, and a reclamation security agreement. This will benefit the local, regional, and national economies of Ghana through taxes, job creation, communal development expenditure, and importantly, local procurement opportunities.
Output is expected to exceed previous operational years.
The project metrics show a high return, long life project that not only brings ounces to production or to account quickly and profitably, but also offers attractive returns on the investment to the benefit of all stakeholders. The past will not be a template for the future.
He said AngloGold has no outstanding liabilities to staff and will offer fair opportunities based on merit to all applicants.
And that's all for business this afternoon. We have sports next. Do stay. And celebrated Afrobeat band Osibisa put Ghana on the world map in the 70s for pioneering authentic African music. Legendary saxophonist and founder of the acclaimed band Teddy Osei has been revealing some of the band's glorious moments and secret behind their huge success. He spoke to Usorai.
10,000 men trample for the kill. The vultures fly, the wind is high. The warrior fights, the palopa, the scavengers wait. Each man.
People hear about Osibisa, you know, and then everywhere we go, they know that we came from Ghana. You know, that's the most important thing. That and most of the time people thought we're not Ghanaians. You know, you thought that we are Americans or from somewhere.
Founded
in London in the late 60s, Osibisa was one of the first African heritage bands to become popular, touring and headlining major shows across the globe.
We've been going for almost 55 years. In the 70s, we put Ghana on the map. We've been to so many countries, but mostly enjoyed our concerts in Ghana. It's been good for me and for the band.
The group comprised talents including founder and master saxophonist Ted Yosei, trumpeter Mark Tonto, drummer Sol Amatefiu. It's been 55 years after Osibisa was formed.
You have a lot of evergreen songs to show.
We have evergreens. We have music for Gong Gong. We are going. Welcome home. Ayiko BIA. You know, all has been some standard songs, you know, and we've been playing them for all these years.
What do you describe as a standard song?
A standard song is a song people can remember and sing with it, where it tells a story, you know. I don't think most of the songs the youngsters these days tells a story, you know. A story you can really feel that is giving you some inspiration, right? And that's what we are doing.
Let's get a classic example. One song that you did that you think told a story and inspired a lot of people. Which song was that?
Welcome Home. You know, that was our recent hit, which is, it just says that, you know, all African people, you know, abroad, you know, remember you are welcomed home, back to Africa.
Getting paid in terms of royalties for it?
Well, you know, we get what we're supposed to get from it. We really do. But not because of getting payment or royalty for it, but just to put down a song that will be remembered all the time. Like We Are Going, which Sofodas did for their cantata, you know. I mean, all these things, Uja, that says the spirit of Ghana especially.
The demise of some founding members saddens Teddy, but the veteran looks forward to a great future.
But the band is still there with young musicians, enthusiastic musicians who carried the banner across the world.
The 82-year-old instrumentalist urged younger musicians to project the Ghanaian identity, noting that it is a sure way to produce transgenerational hits.
They should also do things to include the culture of Ghana and Africa, you know, not always to copy from abroad, because copying will end whatever they're doing very shortly. But look at Osibisa, we've been going for 55 years. So that's my message to everybody.
Always refreshing to hear the Osibisa story. But away from that story, let's do international news now. And Nigeria's Yobe State government has confirmed dozens of Nigerian schoolgirls are still unaccounted for. Now, after the attack on the town at Dapchi, now militants entered a town using at least 12 vehicles, according to eyewitnesses who heard them firing guns and explosive. As they approached the school, most of the students and teachers managed to run into the surrounding bush, but yesterday, up to 90 hadn't been accounted for. Locals living near the school told the BBC that about half that number have since been found hiding in surrounding villages. Nigerian authorities say they're still trying to locate the remaining girls. And away from Africa, survivors of a Florida school shooting that left 17 have traveled to the state capital to press lawmakers to take more action on gun control. About 100 students arrived there before the state legislature rejected a ban on assault rifles like the one used in the attack. They are due to stage a rally at the State House later and meet legislators. It is the first organized protest of youth-led anti-gun movements that has swept the U.S. since the attack. Under pressure to act, President Donald Trump on Tuesday backed a move to ban devices that can enable rifles to shoot hundreds of rounds a minute. And that's how we end the bulletin this afternoon. I am Wendy Lai. Thanks for watching. Enjoy the rest of our programs. Do have a lovely afternoon.